You want the truth? Good, because this video isn't here to comfort you. It's here to expose the psychological mechanics behind a woman's intimacy, and why modern relationships crumble even before they begin. Today, we're breaking down 10 dark psychological facts about what happens inside a woman's mind when she shares deep, intimate trust with one man, versus what happens when she shares that same trust with many ready. Let's begin. And before we dive into the first point, let me welcome you properly, right when you're fully locked in. Welcome to Stoicism. Mastermind to the real ones watching. You're the reason this brotherhood thrives. If you're new here, hit like and subscribe, because around here we don't do fairy tales or feel-good fantasies. We break down real psychology, real instincts, and real human behavior so men can think sharper, feel stronger, and become absolutely unshakable. This is where you learn what the world refuses to teach you. Now, let's get into the truth. 1. When she shares deep intimacy with one man, her mind bonds harder than a Wi-Fi device finally finding stable signal. Her entire emotional world organizes itself around him, not because she chooses to, but because bonding is hardwired into her biology. Her stress drops around him. Her trust deepens without needing constant validation. She invests more. She listens more. She gives more. Her emotional stability increases because she's not juggling multiple emotional inputs. Her brain says, "This is the person I attach to." And once that attachment forms, her loyalty becomes instinctive. She naturally protects the relationship because it feels like home, not a risk. Most men never experience this version of a woman, because they never become the emotional safe point her mind chooses to lock onto. But if you reverse that emotional pattern, if her intimacy hasn't been exclusive, her mind adapts in a completely different way. 2. When she gives deep intimacy to many, her mind learns to detach faster than someone closing 32 tabs on a dying laptop. You think about it, every time she resets emotional closeness with a new person, her brain is forced to shut down the previous attachment. Do that often enough, and the mind becomes efficient at detaching. She doesn't bond deeply because her system learned not to. It learned to protect itself from emotional loss. She becomes harder to read because she doesn't attach in a straight line. Her emotions fluctuate. Her connection feels shallow. She can be physically close but emotionally elsewhere. She learned how to enjoy the moment, without letting the moment create roots. And this leads straight into one of the darkest mechanics of female psychology. 3. The more often she restarts intimacy, the less meaning each connection holds. This has nothing to do with being good or bad, and everything to do with how her bonding chemicals work. Every deep emotional or physical connection triggers powerful neurochemistry. But overuse weakens its impact. It's like hearing your favorite song 1,000 times. Eventually, it doesn't hit the same. Her emotional receptors get overstimulated. Attachment becomes diluted. Connection feels temporary because her brain has repeated that cycle too often. She starts treating closeness as something that passes, not something that builds. It's not intentional, it's neurological exhaustion. But now, let's examine the opposite pattern. Because this is where you see why some women love with intensity, while others love with convenience. 4. A woman who bonds deeply with one man becomes emotionally predictable, in a powerful, healthy way. Her emotions move in patterns that make sense. She's not confused about what she feels. She's grounded because her attachment has a single anchor. This stability makes her easier to love. She's consistent, patient, emotionally steady. She doesn't detach when things get hard. She invests, she communicates, she stays. Her emotional bandwidth isn't split across multiple people, so her love carries weight, direction, and depth. This is the version of a woman who can build something real, because her psychology wasn't trained to hit the eject button at the first sign of discomfort. But the next point? This is where the real darkness begins. Because what happens when her bonding path wasn't exclusive changes everything about how she behaves in a relationship. 5. A woman who shares intimacy with many becomes emotionally unpredictable. Not chaotic, just desensitized. Her system gets used to emotional exit routes. She knows how to detach before she fully attaches. Feelings hit quickly, fade quickly, and reset instantly. She can look deeply invested one week and feel nothing the next. Not because she's heartless, but because her psychology has adapted to constant emotional turnover. Her mind learned to treat connection like a temporary state, not a permanent structure. Her emotional responses become inconsistent. One moment warm, one moment distant, one moment loyal, one moment indifferent. She isn't unstable. She's desensitized from too many resets, and now we reach a truth that decides the future of every relationship. Before we continue, if this is hitting deep, you need to save this video for afterward. The Dark Stoic Psychology. 5 hidden rules that make women beg you. It explains why certain men trigger devotion and others trigger emotional distance. You'll see it at the end screen. Don't miss it. Now, back into the darkness. 6. Her bonding style determines her loyalty, not her promises. This is where men misunderstand women the most. A woman who bonds deeply with one man doesn't try to be loyal. She simply is. Her brain selects one emotional target and stays locked. Her loyalty comes from instinct, not effort. But when she's bonded with many, her loyalty isn't instinct. It's conscious decision-making. She chooses loyalty based on momentary factors. How she feels today. How you're treating her this week. How secure she feels right now. Loyalty becomes fluid, conditional, situational. Her words may sound the same, but the emotional foundation behind them is completely different, and that brings us to something most men ignore. 7. You can feel her bonding history without ever asking, because her behavior reveals it instantly. You don't need her past. You don't need her story. You don't need her number. Her patterns tell you everything. Women who bond deeply move slowly. They don't rush closeness. They don't jump into emotional intensity in 2 days. They build intentionally. Women who bonded often move fast. Fast closeness, fast intensity, fast detachment. They can go from "you're amazing" to "I don't feel it anymore" in the blink of an eye. Her behavior always reveals her bonding blueprint, even when her words don't. And next is a truth that affects all modern relationships. 8. Modern culture makes deep bonding almost impossible. We're drowning in options, artificial connection, endless stimulation. People treat intimacy like disposable entertainment, not emotional commitment, and because everything feels replaceable. Everyone becomes replaceable. Most people aren't losing love. They're losing the psychological capacity to form it. And that's why relationships today feel unstable, quick, and hollow. People aren't emotionally broken. They're emotionally overstimulated. But this next truth, this one cuts the deepest. 9. A woman's intimacy. History shapes her future relationships more than she realizes. Her brain records attachment patterns. Every connection strengthens or weakens her ability to bond. Some women are wired for depth. Their attachment system grips tight. Others have been rewired for emotional survival. Their attachment system lets go easily to avoid pain. She might not connect the dots, but her behavior is guided by every bond she built and every bond she had to break. And men walk into relationships without understanding which version of her they're truly with. And now, the final blow. The truth most men never see coming. 10. The real trap. Men expect loyalty from women whose psychology has trained them not to attach deeply, and women expect emotional leadership from men who have no idea how bonding actually works. This mismatch destroys modern relationships. Not cheating, not arguments, not falling out of love. Bonding incompatibility. One person is built for emotional depth, the other is built for emotional detachment, and neither side understands the blueprint driving the other. And before we close, one last message. From me to you. Let's get these likes up to spread the word, because this message deserves to reach every man walking this path. Too many brothers are hurting because nobody teaches these truths. And your next step is simple. Watch 97% of men don't know these psychological secrets about women. It's on your screen right now, and it completes everything you learned today. Click it now, and I'll meet you there.